Well, I was born and raised in a small town in Iowa, town of about 8,000 people, very small. My father was born there, my grandfather, long history. I met my husband there. He lived there, his family's from there. So we met and got married, and we were married a couple years to start having kids. We had our daughter first, and then every 6 years after that we had another child. We don't know how that worked out, but it just did. I always had to work, and I didn't want kids at the babysitters and in school at the same time, or at babysitters at the same time. So my daughter was in school when my son Tony, who was the Marine, was born, and then when he went to school, then we had Cristiano, who was the baby. So that's kind of the story. Moved to Bend after 47 years in the same small town in Iowa, which was kind of unique for us. My husband always wanted to retire in Bend, Oregon. He had been here in the 60s. Maybe it was the 70s. Anyway, it was when he was young, and said he was going to retire here someday. He just loved it. What's not to love about Bend, Oregon? Mountains, 3 hours from the coast. It's a beautiful place to live. So, as all small towns were, it wasn't happening. It kind of was dying. Things just weren't moving like he wanted them to. He had started a new business, lost both of his parents to cancer. And so he said, let's move. Let's not wait till retirement. Let's go now. And I said, okay. So we picked up our two boys. Our daughter was in college, her first year of college. And so we moved with our two boys, and our daughter came with us. She out of college. She did go back and graduate from college at the University of Northern Iowa eventually because she liked the teaching program there. She's a teacher. And the boys moved here with us, and let's see, Cristiano was in second grade, I believe, and Tony was just entering middle school. Tony's the Marine, I'll refer to. So Tony has always struggled with school. He actually was diagnosed with ADHD young, not unlike lots of kids, which I'm reading a book now about. Some of our environment has been the cause of some of this stuff. But anyway, so he struggled in school, and he wasn't a bad boy. He wasn't a bad kid. He just didn't like school. He'd much rather be out on the playground playing, not in school learning. He just was that kid. So he got through middle school, got to his sophomore year in high school here in Bend, and we were just having some big problems with him, not wanting to be in school, not wanting to learn. Always got, we always would go to the conferences, and the teachers would say, he's such a nice kid. He's respectful. He's not disrespectful. He just doesn't want to learn. And he's failing in school. So there were some things that led up to other things, and no bad things. It was just, we were tired of hearing the same old story from teachers saying he wasn't doing well. So Jim and I, my husband and I, decided that we need to do something. This has got to change. This is not working, So we Jim had gone in, and Jim is writing a book, by the way, on Tony's story. He walked into school and talked to the dean of schools, and somehow my mind is just so, forgetful of how things happen. But he spoke with the dean of students, who suggested Central Oregon Youth Challenge School. And we had never heard of this school, and told us that the dean of students said, go check it out, see what it's like. So we thought, this is what we're going to do. So we went out and checked it out, and I think we took Tony with us. And it is a military school, and it is 20 miles east of Bend. And we just kind of put it out there to Tony and said, here's what's going to happen. You're going to go to military school, or you're out, because we can't do this. We can't live like this. You've got to get serious about your life. So we're very, very close family, almost too close. That's just the way we are. And I think that's part of the Italian heritage, where you're just close. You're just close. Anyway, so Tony chose the military school because he knew that that's what he needed to do to mend our relationship, I felt, to make sure that he would get his life straightened out. And I'm telling you, it was not pretty. It was scary. We went there. They had to have certain things that they had to have. They walked in with a garbage bag with the supplies that they needed. And then it was, kiss your mom and dad goodbye. And the yelling started. I mean, it was yelling. Not necessarily where we were, but they kind of walked him out. And as soon as they walked out that door, it was yelling. And I just thought, oh my gosh. We yell at our kids, but this was like, oh my gosh. It was, do this, do that, screaming, yelling. Anyway, so we left in tears because we thought, what did we do? What did we get him into? Is this what he really, really needs? It was hard because it was only 20 miles from Bend, so that was really hard because we were so close. A lot of the kids, and this is a school for last chance kids. I mean, that's what's in there. There was criminals, there's gang members, there's drug users, and Tony was none of these, so that was so hard for us because he just needed to learn he needed to get his degree, he needed to get his high school diploma, and that's how he was going to get it, was going to school here. So the first few weeks, probably, I don't know, Tony will probably tell you it was longer than that. It's only a 6-month program. But the first few weeks, it was and they could write letters, and please come, I can't do this, I don't think I can do this. We just said, you're going to hang in there, you're going to do this. They don't let him leave. They don't let him leave. They do not let them leave. And I'll get further down the story, but anyway, the military school is so exciting for me. And that's how we got into the Marines. Got a recruiter that came in and talked to him, like he does with all of them. And Tony joined up with the Marine Corps through that school. He eventually knew that this was what he had to do to stay at this school. He graduated with a 4.0. There's only a certain amount of kids that go, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the number. It's a small class, but it's individual teaching. There's no computers, there's no phones, there's no TVs, there's nothing. There's no windows. It's a concrete building, and it is exercise, and it is on your face if you do something wrong. Give me push-ups. It is military. They're in bunks. They have to make their beds. It's military, but it was the best thing that ever happened to Tony. Straightened him out because he had the one-on-one teaching with his ADHD. It just turned him around, and he learned, and he got through and got his diploma. Well, he actually didn't get his full diploma because he actually went back to Mountain View to finish his last year, which I would never advise that again, because I think that the society is what turned Tony where he was. He wanted to be a big guy and wanted to do everything everybody else was doing. And so anyway, Tony graduated from Mountain View in 2008, and I'll never forget it. He signed his papers for the Marine Corps on April 12th of 2008, which is our wedding anniversary. And we took him over to Portland, and he was sworn in and signed up on our anniversary. It was kind of cool because it was just the three of us. Went over, and we came back, and we stopped at a place and had pizza and talked about what was going to happen. And it was just a really, really neat experience. But he knew this is what he wanted to do. So on August 24th of 2008, he entered the Marine Corps, and we basically took him up to the recruiter's office in Bend and said bye. And that was the end of it for that point. So then off to MCRD in San Diego, and that's where he went through his boot camp training, was there. And it's terrible. I don't remember a lot about talking to him or how we communicated with him at that point. I can't remember if he wrote letters or anything. I can't remember all the sequence of that because I just don't remember. But we did go down for his graduation. We drove. We drove down there and watched him graduate from boot camp. And then from there, I I wish I had Tony here to tell me. I can't remember the sequence of things. If he went to Pendleton there, his main camp was at 29 Palms, which was and is the armpit of the Marine Corps. And you can tell anybody that you want because it is awful. And every Marine I've talked to from there hates it there. It's terrible. And Tony wanted to get back to Pendleton so bad, but he never did. He stayed at 29 Palms, which was probably just as well.